Today, Bitcoin retreats to the mid-$90,000 level. MicroStrategy adds to its Bitcoin holdings. And Hashdex co-founder and chief operating officer Bruno Caratori discusses post-election trends in crypto portfolios. Bitcoin was down 0.5% at nearly $96,000. It languished over the weekend, falling into the $95,000 level after hitting a fresh record Friday, just a couple $100 off the widely anticipated $100,000 mark. Solana also under pressure, losing more than 1.5% after it also hit an all-time high Friday. Ether, the outperformer, climbing 5% to nearly $3,500. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. MicroStrategy announced yet another big Bitcoin purchase. Today, the company disclosed it acquired 55,500 Bitcoins last week for around $5.4 billion. That brings its total holdings to 386,700 Bitcoins. The stock faced some volatility after Citron Research revealed a short position on Thursday, saying MicroStrategy is overheated. As of noon Eastern, the company is down 3.25%, and in 1 week, up 6%. Bernstein hiking its price target on the stock today, though, to $600 from $290, implying another 40% upside at least for those shares. Finally, the SEC continues to experience some shakeups. Commissioner Jaime Lizarraga, the next to announce his departure, he said Friday that he plans to step down January 17th, just a few days before Inauguration Day. Lizarraga implied he's taking the time to focus on family as his wife battles illness. He thanked his fellow commissioners and said he's proud of the agency's accomplishments in advancing Chair Gensler's agenda and in fulfilling the SEC's mission. The announcement came just a day after SEC Chair Gary Gensler said he would resign on Inauguration Day. Investors, of course, anticipate a regulatory shift in favor of cryptocurrencies under President-elect Trump, who campaigned on the issue. All right, for our main story, last week I spoke with Bruno Caratori, Hashdex's co-founder and chief operating officer, about how crypto investors are shifting portfolio strategies after the U.S. election. He also talked about what impact the incoming Congress will have on the crypto industry. All right, Bruno, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's start with what you're hearing from clients in the wake of the election. Obviously, the rally has driven up prices. So what are you hearing from clients, and where is the excitement centered? Is it just Bitcoin? Is it altcoins? Is it ETFs and other products?
Anaya, it's great to see you. Yeah, we've been talking to clients a lot for the past few weeks. There's, of course, a lot of curiosity and excitement, especially due to the big price movements, right? And I guess most of them are looking to learn, what's going to happen next, what these election results really mean for crypto prices, and if the current price swings that we're seeing going up are sustainable. So these are the conversations we're having, and they're making up for a lot of interesting outcomes.
So what is your big takeaway, or your big, your key point for your outlook next year, based on the hopes that are driving the prices up right now? The hopes on the promise of a more supportive regulatory environment. How do you see that playing out, since it does seem like there's this divergence between Bitcoin and everything else? On the one hand, you have an entire industry that's been begging for clearer regulation and rules to play by so that their businesses can thrive. But then, you have this idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which really, I think, kind of hit a fever pitch in the week after, and is perhaps more focused on profits and prices than the problem at hand.
So, Tanea, I think you hit it spot on with regards to regulatory clarity. What we bring up with clients when we talk to them is, first of all, we urge them to always keep a long-term mindset when dealing with getting exposure to crypto assets, right? And we think that when we look back to what happened last week, and especially with what will happen in the coming 12 months, we will deem that 2025 will have been this pivotal year in crypto. And the reason being exactly what you mentioned. I think after years of administrations that have either been dismissive or just flat out hostile towards crypto, we're poised to welcome not just a new president, but I think most importantly, a new makeup of Congress that's poised to recalibrate the regulatory attitude towards crypto in a way that's going to give these assets a completely new reality to work with. So this is going to take a while to play out. And this is what we're trying to convey to our clients. There will be wide swings along the way. But as the new Congress takes office, as the bills that have been poised to pass Congress for a while in the U.S., both the stablecoins bill, the market structure bill, as they hopefully indeed get enacted, we think that then, more importantly, beyond Bitcoin, assets will have a new environment to thrive. Because the truth is, outside of Bitcoin, Tanea, for years now, there's been this dark regulatory cloud on top of every asset, on top of every project that's seeking to issue a token, either to build a community, to share rewards. But these projects, these teams, have feared the regulatory action from the current administration. And with the new recalibration, we think that this is going to be a lot more transparent, a lot easier for projects to understand, and these projects will be poised to thrive. So it will take a while, but we're conveying to clients that the outlook is very positive in the medium to long term.
Well, let's dive into the post-election recap that you published after the election. You argued that crypto will continue to be a political force. You've said that a little bit just now. How much do you think that voters in the U.S. care about crypto, since we've seen conflicting data from the industry that claims it's a key issue for many voters, but then data from the Fed and pollsters that shows that not many Americans actually hold it?
Interesting. We've seen this conflicting data too, but I think the unequivocal conclusion, Tanea, from this last election is that crypto is a key issue for the electing body, right? And will continue to be the case. More and more, as individuals and families in the United States become acquainted to the technology, start using it in their day-to-day, they will understand that crypto is something to be harnessed and not combated. And I think we saw the sea change in this last election, but that we expect will continue to grow in the coming elections.
The other thing you point out in the report is a generational shift as younger generations become less skeptical of crypto. So some of those in the younger generation are coming into Congress. How much impact do you expect them to have in legislating, especially when you have some of the more powerful figures in Congress as skeptics?
It compounds the impact, certainly, Tanea, as it won't surprise you that there's a big correlation between a negative attitude towards crypto and the generation you are. Younger people are more comfortable with new technologies. Younger people are more comfortable with Bitcoin. And as this permeates now government, we think that will continue to have an effect. So that generational shift is certainly a force that, again, it doesn't really play a role in the short term. But as we've been seeing for the last 10 years in crypto or so, it will continue to play a role in the acceptance of the technology, the asset class. And we'll see the results of this across the space.
And then, you've said it's early in this process, but what are you watching for with prices in 2025 as the next Congress takes office? You said something about price swings a little bit earlier. So I'll re-ask the question, is there more volatility in the cards as we work through what's coming from Congress? And then especially as you contrast that with the demand for Bitcoin ETFs, which launched earlier this year. They've been really successful, and we're starting to see that demand pick up more and more, especially with the election results. The idea was that, the demand from those ETFs would eventually start to bring the volatility of Bitcoin down. So how do you square those two things, and what are you looking at for 2025?
Again, as we comment on prices with our clients, we always urge them to keep the long-term focus in mind. It's hard to predict what happens in the short term. I will note that as early as a couple months ago, options markets had, the implied probability of Bitcoin being at the level it is now, between $90,000 and $100,000 at just 10%. So you can see how things can change quickly. This has changed in less than a month. I think, Tanea. But here's our message to clients is, as Bitcoin and other crypto assets continue to evolve from a technological standpoint, continue to gain adoption, the potential price increases are really large, in one way of estimating this top down, if Bitcoin becomes indeed a store of value that is as meaningful as gold, it needs to be valued at least $1 million. So this is, of course, if this is poised to happen, it will happen over many years. But now, I will say, though, that in the short term, the direction of travel seems positive. Even with the pure results today of this election, I think one immediate result is that agents who were outside are continuing to be more welcoming towards crypto. We know that since the ETFs got approved earlier in the year, not every type of investor has been gaining access to this, has been taking the leap. But more and more institutional investors, large wirehouses are going through the process of approving these. So we think that in this adoption of the asset as an investment option alone, there's a good price increase that will materialize in the next 12 months.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.